Age does not equal wisdom. Just because you've been here longer doesn't mean that you know more. It just means you've been here longer. Most of these older folks have no idea how the world works, really. And I'm so tired of people who've never done anything telling me how to live my life. Not that I don't want to hear your mistakes. Definitely. Tell me how you fucked up in life so I don't have to make those mistakes. But don't tell me what to do in life. You know what I'm saying? Don't tell me, well, if I was you, I would... Well, maybe that would have worked in your time, your era, the point in time where you come from, that would have worked. But I live in a different time, in a different era, where that won't work. Oh, well, I'm older than you. Okay. But you're not further than me. You older, but that doesn't mean you know more things. You may know more things, but you don't know anything of relevance. You don't know anything of significance. Because if you did, you would be in a different position than you are right now. Right? Or am I wrong? Oh, you're 70, you're 80, and you've lived more life than me. I'm not arguing that. Obviously, if I do math, you've lived more life than me. But you've never left the United States. You've never left your city. Shit, I know old heads who's never left the block. Unless they was being driven somewhere to go someplace where they don't have it on the block, like a doctor's office or to go visit someone. But most people don't leave the block unless it's a funeral, unless it's a family function. And even then they're being driven. They don't see or experience anything outside of their box, their square, those four walls that they built around themselves. And yet they have the audacity to come to you and say, you should be doing this or you should be doing that, and why aren't you doing better? You see, at a very young age, I learned that I need to fail my way to success. And no, it's not easy. No, it's not something that is a calming situation. It's very frustrating. And at times, it's scary. But you have to have the courage to get up and leave your comfort zone. You have to have the courage to get up and do something that you've never done because you want something that you've never had. How many old heads have led the young folks astray because of what they thought was the right thing? Because I tried one thing, it failed, I give up. Really? But when you want some pussy though, you don't give up. You see, you put your tenacity, your desires on the things that you really, really want. When it comes to the most basic things, the carnal satisfaction, the instant gratification, you'll go hard like a motherfucker. But if it's something long term, if something that you won't benefit from for the next, 5 or 10 years, you won't see the return on that investment, you'll cop out. You'll be like, nah, man, I don't know about all that. But then when you're old, you're like, man, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. You see, those type of stories, I love hearing. Because I know I'm doing something right. Because I know if I fuck up in my 20s, when it comes to my 30s, I would have known, okay, that won't work for me. I've done that, I've tried that. No shoulda, coulda, wouldas. No regrets. No regrets. So, most people don't start taking chances until they're in their 50s. Most people don't start taking chances until they're in their 50s. Midlife. Now you want to talk about, maybe I should start that business. Maybe I should go back to school and learn that thing. Maybe I should move out of this fucking hood when you're 50. Now you start taking chances. Now you start doing things to invest in yourself. That's around the age I start seeing it. Especially for men. Because let's be real, women are more comfortable in fucked up situations than men are. For some reason, they have no problem being in uncomfortable situations for long periods of time. Even living in that shit. Talking about that's life. A lot of women have no problem living in chaos, man. Shit, they welcome it. But for most men that I've seen, it's around the age of 50 where they start getting their shit together. And statistically, most men don't really start making their money until around the age of 35, 40, between those two ages. Because in their 30s, they start to hit their stride in their careers. But what I've always known since my 20s is working a job is never going to get you rich. And not everybody wants to be rich. Shit, I want to be wealthy, but I'm gonna be wealthy. That's a fact. But most people don't start thinking about their futures until they hit middle of life. And I've never wanted to work for people. I always hated working for people. I always liked the fact that I can get up at any time that I want, do whatever I want, and still make my money. Doing something that I like to do and love to do was never working for me. It was something that I loved to do. It was more like a hobby that I got paid for. You see, I've always loved working in the restaurants. I've always loved working in customer service. I just hated management. Not even the people, because the people are just going to be people. But management? Ugh. For some reason, it's like they don't get it. They just don't get it. I never got it. Like, how are you management and yet you've never been on my level? You've never worked here. How are you up there, Mr. Corporate, Miss Corporate, and you've never been on my level? So how do you understand the shit that I'm going through and you've never even been down here? But I digress. Age does not equal wisdom. You got young people out here who's wiser than these old heads. I've met younger people who've put me onto things that people twice my age would never even think about doing. I've said things to people twice my age that made mathematical sense, and they agreed, but them being stuck in their ways would never ever try it. You'd rather play the lottery every single day than take that money and invest it into something, invest it into someone, invest into yourself. You'd rather invest into the state and maybe might win the lottery. And even then, what you gonna do when you get the money if you win? Most people who win the lottery end up losing it within the first year. All of it. Because they never took a dollar and invested in money management. You see, the reason why age does not equal wisdom is because a lot of the shit that these people have learned throughout their lives, they never apply it to their own lives. Therefore, they never get better. They never do anything better. They never do anything positive for themselves or the next generation coming up watching them. So we have this generational curse of people just who ain't shit. Because nobody once invested into something that's going to create a positive thing in the future. You'll invest in church. You'll invest in these motherfuckers' rap albums. You'll invest into some stupid shit. But you won't invest in yourself. You won't invest in your children. And you would rather put them down, tell them stop doing that, go into school so they can get a good job, so they can work for somebody, so they can retire like the way you retired, barely scraping by on Social Security checks because pensions don't exist anymore. So relying on the government at the end of the day, being still, no matter what, financially controlled, because there's a limit, there's a cap. But you know what there isn't a cap on? Wisdom. And having knowledge doesn't mean you have wisdom. Again, just because you have knowledge doesn't mean you have wisdom. Knowing something doesn't mean that it's being applied. And wisdom is just applied knowledge. So just because you're older doesn't make you wiser. Doesn't mean you're getting better. You're just getting older.